Guess what I have today, you guys? These are the brand new RF Rackets that Roger Federer apparently designed himself. And we are going to be doing a review for you today and putting a CueMate sensor in them. We have a couple hitters that we compared their rackets with a similar version of the RF racket. And then we are going to show you how is it different from their particular rackets. We have even strung them the exact same string. I have Sarah over here. And Sarah, tell us quickly about the strings that we've put in here.
So for all the rackets we're testing today, we have put in Luxilon Alu Power 125. All of them are strung at 48 pounds.
48 pounds. We tried to make it as consistent as possible. We're even going to use a ball machine that's really consistent, and we're only going to do forehands so we can keep the parameters as consistent as possible when we measure the data. So let's talk about the individual RF version rackets. So first we have the Pro version. So the Pro version is 16 by 19 string pattern. It's 320 grams or ounces. And then what we have is the balance point is 315. So it's still nice in the head, but it's still going to give you that little extra pop. It's not completely a 305 like the old Roger Federer racket. And it's a 98 square inch, 1 square inch up from the 97 that used to be from the Pro stuff. The other thing, the nice thing about this is it has a leather grip, the Pro version, versus the others don't have that. With that little RF thingy over there, I think it's really cool. I don't know, Sarah, what did you see that's different? Because we haven't hit with this, so we want to
just the actual butt cap as well is different from Wilson's traditional butt caps. It has the emblem as well for Roger Federer.
Yeah, there's very little Wilson on here. I see one little piece of Wilson, but the rest they've kept it very conservative, really
matte black.
Legendary racket for Roger Federer. So I'm excited to hit with this little guy and just see how he performs. And what we're going to do is we're going to compare it with the Pro Staff 97, because we figured we all think that when we think Roger Federer, he's played with the Pro Staff, and we're just going to compare these two particular with each other. What I've noticed a little bit about the frame is that I feel like it's a little bit differently shaped. So if you look at this is a little bit thinner and more flatter, whereas the RF does not have that little built-in piece over here. It's more rounded, and to me that sounds like it might actually give you more power, where the flatter version is more giving you the control. So let's see how this performs. I'm really excited to check it out. Then the 01 version is a 16 by 19 string pattern. It has 300 grams or 10.6 in the weight. And what it does, it has a 315 similar balance as the Pro version, but it's just lighter. Also comes in at a 98 square inch. And we're going to compare it with the blade. That's what I figured a lot of people play with, and also strung it exactly the same. And we will be seeing how they are different. So if you look at
specifically the blade 98, blade 98, 16 by 19 to compare.
Since this is a 98, so it gives you the same head size. Then if I notice the beams over here, the RF is a little bit thicker and the blade is a little bit thinner actually. So it's not as flat as the Pro stuff, but it is that little bit more rounded. So I'm also excited to see how these two weigh up with each other. We will, either me or Sahil we will do the data comparison for that. So what we're going to do today with the comparison, since I'm playing with a 97 Pro staff, I will be comparing the RF heavy racket, the Pro version, which is the 320 grams. It's a 16 by 19 string pattern. We have a 305th swing weight or balance, which is similar to this. So there's only 5 grams different. And we have a 98 square inch, where this is a 97 square inch. So the second test we're going to be doing is, Sahil, come on over here. And we're going to be testing the mid-range, which is the 300 grams version, and it's very similar to yours. So what are you playing with, Sahil?
Yeah, I'm using a Yonex EZone 98. It's the 2022 version. And I'm using it with polyester Hyper G in the mains and then a synthetic gut in the cross.
Awesome, cool. We are also, and then compared to that, this one is 315 grams and 300. It's 5 grams heavier, I want to say.
Yeah, mine's a 305.
And
correct.
it's 98, so that's the same. And then, yeah, so very different rackets, but it will be nice to see how the data kind of compares. But just to keep into the Wilson line, we'll also have Sahil hit with the Blade 98, which is also 305, 320. So it's very similar, but slight differences here and there, strung the same as the RF. So I think that will be a really nice, see how the outcome comes with the CueMate sensor. We're going to test the feature of the RF version, which is the 16 by 19 string pattern, 280 grams, 320 on the balance, and a 98. And so Sarah, come on over here. And what racket are you playing with, Sarah?
I'm currently playing with the Yonex Percept L, which is also 280 grams and 330 on the balance.
Nice. So same weight range, but a little different, and just see how that would change and weigh up to what Sarah is currently using. And for the juniors, we are going to use the feature racket again. And Jaden, come on over here. And so Jaden is a Wilson guy. What racket are you playing with, Jaden?
Playing with the Wilson Ultra.
The 100L?
100L.
All right, which is the same it's actually the same weight and balance as the RF. The only difference is his is 100 square inch and this one is a 98 square inch. And you have Silinko Hyper G in here, 17 gauge, which is really very similar. The softness is a little different, but it's also a polyester, same as this one. Okay, so are you guys ready? Let's go for the tests. Okay, so here we are. We have our first tester on here. We have our CueMate app. And Jaden, just show us the butt cap of that racket. There's the sensor that's in there. And we're going to hit about 25 of the shots.
Wilson Ultra.
Wilson Ultra. Okay. And as you can see, CueMate is pretty cool over here. It shows the shape of the strokes, where it hits, how many RPMs he's getting, 56, 57 miles per hour. Okay, we'll go back there. He's on 9, 10 shots. We'll have him hit another 15 shots. All right, so here we have Jaden playing with the RF feature. And let's see on the CueMate, there's a little bit of a view live. And he's got, where he hits it, 2,200 on the RPM, 63 miles per hour. And great. Let's give him the RF feature. Yeah, 5 more. Let's see how that goes. All right, so Jaden, we had a little hiccup here, but he ended up hitting with the RF first and then with his racket. But let's just see how the two compared with each other. We're gonna go into the metrics. We'll go into the spin. And if you look at current session, and we're gonna go for all forehands. And if you look, his Ultra actually has more spin. If you look at that. So his Ultra has more spin, and the ball speed, he also still gets more speed on his Ultra. So maybe the RF is a little bit more of a stable racket. Let's see on the sweet spot. Yeah, he definitely hits his sweet spot better with the Ultra. Hit speed, slightly more on the Ultra, but it's also his racket. He's not used to playing with the RF, so there could also be a reason. And the timing, whoa,
what the heck?
It looks a little bit like the timing was a bit more solid on the RF. I don't know, that's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so that's good for that. All right, so now we have Sahil over here who is going to be doing a little experiment. We're going to use the Blade, which is that 300 grams. We will use his E-Zone, which is around the 305 grams. And then we will use the RF, which is also the 300 grams. So same weights, and see how all 3 of those rackets are weighing up to each other. So here's our little live view, and we see that he's into the 3000s RPM, and he hits about 75 miles an hour with that Blade. He's got a really nice curve on here, which is pretty cool. And he hits the ball nicely in the middle here. Very nice. Okay, we got 14 shots and we got another 10 to go. All right, so now we have Sahil hitting with his racket, which is the EZO 98. It's same weight as what the RF is going to be in a minute. We're going to have him hit with that. But right now we hit with right before we hit with the blade. So we're going to see how his E-zone is weighing up to the blade and then the RF. Stay tuned. So we're just looking at this live play over here, and I feel like now he gets a little bit more spin on it. But it's almost like when he hits out, there was a little bit more spin on the blade. I don't know, let's see, just from what I've seen on the live view here, as you can, oh, there's 3,700. I guess it just depends on how much he uses his legs. Okay, so now we have Sahil hitting with the RF. And this is going to be the comparison right after he's just used the blade and his E-zone and rackets in the exact same weight class. So let's see how that goes. He's going to hit 25. Let's see how the live view looks. He is going over 3,400 RPM, 75 miles an hour. It looks pretty similar. So I think we're going to have to wait for that graph when the three different rackets are going to be compared to each other. Then we'll see how that goes. Okay, Sahil, what did you think about the RF after the other two rackets you tried?
I like it a lot. I think this might be a demo for me. So basically,
on what comparison wise, before we look at the data.
So I think let's start with the blade. So from the blade, this definitely has a lot more power, a lot more spin.
Yeah.
Definitely feels a bit lighter, a bit more maneuverable as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that I like that compared to the blade, it's a little easier to generate power and spin.
Okay.
Like with the blade, I felt like I had to work really hard to get that power.
Which is probably why there was like the 320 on the balance on the blade, which is that little bit heavier, I want to say. And then I think this is 315 if I don't have it missed, right? 315 on the balance. Right. And then also your E-zone is 315.
Oh, okay,
so,
yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I
feel like this racket is really made to compete with the E-zone or the Aero 98, those kinds of rackets.
Okay, so
like
you think
the power
more
spin.
of a power spin? Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so let's look at CueMate here for a sec. The blade gave you the most spin.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
I saw that actually, and I was very interested. I was like, whoa, and you didn't think that.
Oh,
so what is
spin?
Opposite. Okay, so I want to say that was the winner, the RF, the E-zone second. Maybe if we just go to all the forehand topspin, did it change? Still the blade was there. Let's go at the speed. Did I just do speed or spin?
I used to spin.
Okay,
yeah.
So speed, the blade was also a little bit more and the RF was just below, and your E-zone was the least on the speed. So that's interesting, which I think maybe the blade is way more aerodynamic because it's so thin beam. I don't know if that might be the case, but because it's more solid, it feels maybe like you have to work harder. So I don't know, it's very opinion. Yeah. Let's see sweet spot wise. I feel like the RF you were hitting a little bit more in the sweet spot here. Let's go power. Okay, so if you took the amount of energy that you put in for the amount of spin you get out, the most efficient was the blade, then the RF, then the E-zone.
Huh, wow.
I would have never guessed that.
Yeah,
Peak acceleration, the RF won.
Right. Yeah, I guess this is the lightest one out of the three too. Is it? Like 300 versus 305?
Yeah, could
maybe,
be. And
maybe.
The 315, that could be a reason.
Yeah.
If you did the peak swing rate, RF was the fastest. And if you did the timing for that peak acceleration, they're very similar. Maybe the E-zone was a little bit more up there. So yeah, did you expect that from CueMate?
No.
So sometimes
that's interesting.
Yeah, and this is objective. It kind of measures certain things. So like how we feel sometimes and what the data is can be two very different things. All right, thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so here we have Sarah playing with the RF after she's already played with her racket, and CueMate is showing here a little bit on like how much spin she's getting from it and how fast she's hitting. And if I don't have it miss, on average, I think there is more spin on this racket for her. I thought that the other racket had like 1,300 on average in spin, but we will see when we compare the data with each other. So we'll look in a bit. So Sarah, quickly tell us what was the difference between your Yonex Percept 100L and the new RF Future?
Oh, believe it or not, I could tell that it was easier to get the ball deeper. So I had a little bit more power and spin potential, it seemed.
Let's see if that is true. All right, so if we go to metrics and we go to ball spin, that was her first set. So I want to say maybe she was getting maybe a little bit tired on the end. Did you see this?
Yeah.
Actually, no, wait, all four hands. Oh no, there is a slight little bit more spin because I took all four hands, yes. And if we look at the speed, definitely more speed, clearly more speed.
Oh, nice.
Okay, let's quickly look at impact timing. So the timing, you were hitting it a little bit more in front. Because the higher it is, the more in front you hit it. And if we go hit speed, there's definitely more hit speed in the RF for you versus the Percept, which is understandable because the balance is 330 versus 315. So that makes total sense.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the peak acceleration, the peak acceleration is also significantly higher on average than your Percept. So yeah, actually what you were saying there is a bit on the true side. So, but again, it depends on each person and also what you want. Do you want that more power? Do you want that more spin? Can you control it? So that's the other thing.
Yeah, it's smaller sweet spot, but it was overall very nice feeling.
Oh yes, the sweet spot. Sweet spot, you could see you were getting into it as you were getting
to get used to
with it. Yes. All right, Sarah, thank you so much for being one of our testers for the future of the RF. And yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
All right. All right, so what we did, I just hit with the Pro Staff 97, and now we're going to use the new RF, which I think is the closest since it's 320 grams, 315 on the balance, and this is 315 grams, 315 on the balance. So see how these two weigh up with each other. Same strings, let's go. Very first time I'm hitting with this guy, so let's see how that goes. I'm really excited for this. Off the bat, quite a bit of power. A lot more alive, I want to say. Definitely swings through way easier than the Pro Staff. My goodness, this is really nice actually. Doesn't have the heavy feeling. I feel like with the Pro Staff there's a bit of a heavier feeling compared to this. Whoa, it's so fast I mishit that one. Whoa, a lot of spin. Because I tend to like to let go of my arm. I feel like I drop it and then I kind of release. And this one really supports that kind of shoot feeling that I'm looking for. Okay, so what I'm thinking here is I got a lot more speed and spin out of this one compared to the Pro Staff. The only way to really know for sure is if we look at CueMate, what CueMate thinks. So let's go to the spin, current session. Okay, so clearly ball spin, Sahil gets a lot more spin with his racket than me, even Jaden. But if you look, I definitely got more spin here compared to my Pro Staff. It's slightly more higher. Ball speed is also higher on that last one. Yeah, I want to say the RF is definitely a better, and I was right about it.
A bit more powerful.
A bit more powerful,
racket.
a bit more spin with it. Sweet spot wise, the Pro Staff, I was a little more in the sweet spot. Maybe because I was also feeling like I could rip a little bit more with the RF. So that's maybe it changes a bit in the sweet spot.
Yeah, I noticed like you had a few mishits with RF.
Yeah,
Maybe you're
'cause it
also
was-
not used to the racket yet.
Exactly, but it is
Yeah.
5 grams heavier, but same balance. So I guess, I just know, but it did feel lighter, even though it had that, even though it's supposed to be a little bit heavier. So that's just what I'm
Yeah.
thinking here. Hit speed wise, yes, faster than the RF. And then let's go to power. So yeah, more power output. And if you go energy, also more energy from the RF. So now the cool thing is if you take spin and speed together, yes, so it's definitely, if you take spin and speed together, it's definitely was going better on the RF. Peak acceleration, also better on the RF. So overall, I think the Pro Staff is a little bit more on the kind of dim side, like it feels that it's going to give you that more control, but it's a little bit more lazy, if I like, where this one is definitely a lot more alive, more energetic racket versus the Pro Staff. So yeah, so hopefully this helps a little bit for you choosing Wilson Rackets and all the others that we did. Sahil, thank you very much. And
thank you.
Jaden's actually taking the video, so thank you so much, Jaden.
Yeah.
And Sarah had to go to work. All right.